This is a quick tutorial on how to answer question 5 part 2. So the question is, using your supply and demand diagram, explain how a market would return to equilibrium following a surplus in the market. So 2 things to take from that question. First is surplus. So what is a surplus? A surplus is when the sellers produce too much of something. So that might mean they have to export some of their excess goods. They may have to just store it. Either way, what that means for the business is that the quantity that they have supplied is greater than the quantity that's demanded. The second thing to note for that question is it's asking you what happens when, or how does it happen to return to equilibrium. So that's basically telling us that currently the business is not trading at equilibrium, and it's asking us to explain how it would return to equilibrium. So to do that, we're going to very quickly look at an example first. So here we have selling iPhones. So if the price of iPhones was €800 and there was a demand for 1,000 iPhones at that price, but you were producing iPhones, you're producing 1,500. So what happens is you now have an excess of 500 or a surplus. So how are you going to get rid of that surplus? Are you going to store it? Probably not. You need to keep stock moving. So 2 things you could potentially do. The first one is drop your price. If you drop your price, the chances are you're going to sell more. The other thing you could do, which it wouldn't be as common, but it's still a possible solution, is to drop the number of iPhones that you make available for sale. So if you restrict the amount that you're actually going to sell, that would stabilize the value of your iPhones, but it's still not going to help you a whole lot with your extra stock. It's simply just going to stabilize the value of and the price of them. Now, how do we put that into the graph, which is what it's asking us? Well, the thing to note here is, first of all, as it says in the question, we're asked about return to equilibrium. So we know that we're currently not at equilibrium. So if equilibrium is here, and if we know that we have to drop the price to get here, well, that means that we're currently charging a price that must be above equilibrium. So let's say our price would be here. So we're going to call this price 1. And if we cut across and to our demand curve and we drop it down, this is going to give us our quantity demanded. Okay, if we keep going in somewhat of a straight line and we hit our supply curve and we drop that down, this is going to give us our quantity supplied. So this is a picture of what's currently happening. The quantity demanded is much less than the quantity supplied. Or if you want to put the other way around, which we have up here, the quantity supplied is much greater than the quantity demanded. So both are true. But what we want is, or what it's asking us is, how do we return to equilibrium? So how we return to equilibrium is we need to drop the price. So this line here currently represents the surplus. So what we would do in this scenario is we would drop the price. So we would bring the price down to our equilibrium. So quite simply, all we do is we draw our line out from where our equilibrium is, and we call that the price at equilibrium. And we also know that when we drop it down from here, we know it's our equilibrium because our quantity demanded here is equal to our quantity supplied. And that's all that there is to it. Okay, any more questions on that, and drop me an email.